Hello everyone, my name is Tommy.
I'm Mackenzie.
And welcome back to Backstage Thoughts. Today we are going to talk about our first days of work when we started working at Disney World. We're going to talk about traditions first, which is like your general sort of like orientation, I guess, that all cast members kind of do. And then we'll get into our specific like first days of training within our actual roles. So traditions for us, I think, is probably unlike anyone else will ever experience it again, unless there's another global pandemic sometime down the line.
Yeah.
Because you had mass amounts of CPs all coming in at the same time. Like, each arrival date had like hundreds and hundreds of them at that point. When we were there, January of 2022. And then into February as well of 2022. Every Wednesday, I think it was. Was it a Wednesday?
No, Fridays.
The arrival dates were Fridays.
Oh, no. Arrival dates were Mondays.
Arrival dates were Mondays, and Traditions was on?
Friday.
Okay. Whatever it was, whatever day of the week it was that week, every week there would just be mass amounts of people moving in.
Yeah.
And they had to get, everyone went through Traditions at the same time, so they just had huge groups of us do it together at Flamingo Crossings. We didn't have to go. I know a lot of people do it at like Disney University.
Yeah.
Over by like the West Clock parking lot. We didn't do that. We did it right at Flamingo. And there were like 6 different rooms full of people like all going like at the same time.
Thinking about it, there had to have been at least 50 people per room.
More.
50.
More. I would say closer to 100. Yeah.
Which is insane.
Probably over 100 actually.
Yeah.
And you had like, there was like an 8 o'clock one, an 8:15, an 8:30. Like, so they were like slightly staggered, but they had a whole bunch of rooms going at once with a whole bunch of people going at once. I imagine it's not like that anymore.
I wouldn't think so either, no. They're just either not as many groups or smaller groups.
Yeah, or I guess it could be if there still are popular times for lots of CPs to go down, like beginning of semester, end of semester.
Yeah, or like they have like the summer for like alumni and just regular CPs to come down.
I don't know. But anyway, there were a ton of people all going through Traditions all at once when we were there. And we had Traditions on the same day, but we were not in the same room. We didn't have it at the same time.
I didn't even, like, during Traditions, usually, like, they have a staggered lunch, so, like, you had an hour for lunch. I didn't even see, like, you started so much later than I did. I didn't even see you at lunch. Like...
Oh, I went back to my apartment.
Oh. A group of us, like, hung out. You missed that.
No, I didn't do that.
Sorry.
Traditions itself is something that, like, is known.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people know about it.
If you're in the know about Disney, you've probably heard Traditions before. And it's really not... Like, my mom was, like, all excited. Like, oh, are you going to Traditions? How was Traditions? It's just, like, an orientation.
You just sit there.
You sit there.
Different people talk.
Mickey Mouse shows up at some point.
He does.
Mickey Mouse does show up. And really that's, like, the highlight for a lot of people. Like, oh, my God, Mickey Mouse is here. And
people, especially people who've like never been to a park before, like this is their first time, they love that.
See, I feel like those people that have never been to a park before are like, why is there a guy in a mouse costume here?
No, they know about it.
But you also get your name tags at the end, and you get ears. Oh, it fell down, but these, my chair is on it. These guys, we got these. Kenzie has one behind her too.
Here.
But these are the ones we got at Traditions.
It just says the Walt Disney World.
Yeah, they're not special. They're just the standard ones that you can get anywhere. But other than that, though, it was just a lot of discussion about like the 5 keys. Which, do you remember the 5 keys? Do you remember what they were? Pop
Safety.
Quiz? Safety is one of them.
What's the newest one?
Inclusion.
Inclusion.
Yeah, they made a big deal about...
I was going to say inclusivity, but inclusion sounds better.
They made a big deal about inclusion now being added.
Yes, there are 5 keys now instead of 4.
There used to be 4 keys, but now there's 5. We added inclusion because prior to, like, 2018 or whenever they added it, they didn't care about inclusion.
Yeah, screw inclusion.
As evident by their war on gay dancing in Disneyland. So what else? We have safety, inclusion. What are the other 3? I got them.
Integrity.
No. I mean, you could just start throwing buzzwords out there and you'll probably get one. No.
I knew safety and I was going to say inclusivity, but inclusion.
Courtesy.
Indeed.
Efficiency. And show.
Yeah, show. That was the one I was probably never going to get.
And I don't remember what the order is. There's an order, too. Like, they take priority.
Yeah.
Inclusion, I'm pretty sure, is last on that order. But anyway, they talk all about the 5 keys. Like, these are the values that you instill as a cast member.
Safety is number 1, though.
Safety is number 1.
I do know safety is number 1.
Yes. And then they're like, okay, here's where you're going to park, depending on where you work. But pretty much it was just, if you work at a park, here's where you park. And if you don't, good luck. You'll figure it out on your own.
Yeah, basically.
And that's pretty much all I remember from traditions.
You get your blue ID. You don't get your self-admission pass
until
at
later.
Traditions.
Yeah, it took it actually didn't take too long for us.
No, we got it Wednesday after Traditions, I think.
For some people, it takes like a couple weeks, though,
yeah.
I've heard.
I think for us being at Flamingo, it was faster because they just dropped all of them off at that time.
Yeah. After Traditions, you start training at your location. And training's different, obviously, depending on what your location is and what your role is.
I was located at Caribbean Beach Resort in their quick service center market. The first day, we were instructed not to go there. We were to go to Pop Century's casting. And from there, we were going into like Building B. And there's 4 of us. 4 girls that started that day. And we're all standing there. I think I met one of them beforehand at the welcome party, but we didn't know each other. So we're all standing there, not in costume yet because we haven't gotten our costumes. It's our first day. They told us to dress business casual. So we're all standing there waiting. All of a sudden someone walks up. She goes, Are you guys training? Yeah. I've been looking for you everywhere. We're like, okay, well, obviously we were all in the right place because no way we all would have just slipped into this random door that said B over the top of it if it didn't tell us to go there. So we're all standing there, and she goes, okay, follow me. And she takes us into this little computer lab. There's like 8 computers around this room, and we did like 4 hours of online assessments. And then once we finished the like first 4 hours, we went to costuming, which was in the same building. Got our costume, you have to try on different sizes, make sure everything fits right. We took 3 costumes each. And then I didn't bring a bag this day because I was like, why would I need a bag? I have hangers full of costumes. And the one girl, only one of the girls that I was with had a car, and I didn't have a car. So she was like, just put everything in my car. I'll take you all home. Like, you all live at East, right? And I was like, yeah. She's like, I'll take everyone home. Just put everything in my car. I was like, perfect. So then we walk back in to this little computer lab, and we sit back down and do like 3 more hours of computer work. Just these assignments about like how to sell alcohol, how to keep food safe. Like, it all makes sense looking back, but it was so...
It was like mostly safety stuff.
Yeah.
It's the first key after all.
It is. But it was... By the end of the day, you were like, am I ever going to do anything here? Like, is this what my life's going to be?
So my first day looked very different from that. Question, you were inside the entire time for your first day?
I think... So there was we had like an hour, no, not even an hour. We had like 30 minutes left in our shift, and they called a van to come pick all of us up to take us over to CVR, which is like a 5-minute drive. We all get there, and she's like, well, it doesn't look like we have any time, so I'll just show you how to clock in and out. And then we all left.
So the reason I asked if you were outside at all is because I don't know if you remember, but it was like 28 degrees that day.
What? No.
Yeah, so in Florida, it was like 28 degrees that day. I left my ice scraper in my trunk just because it's like, that's where I keep it, right?
Do. Yeah.
And I remember, I think it was my dad, someone made a comment. They're like, oh, you brought your ice scraper. I'm sure you're going to need that in Florida. Well, we wake up, first of all, I don't know. What time did you have to wake up for your first day of training?
My first day, we started at 9, but the following day was really early.
See, I'm pretty sure I woke up at 4:30 is when I set my alarm for 4:30 a.m. And I walk outside, and my windshield is completely covered in frost. So that ice scraper immediately came in handy. And the first day of training, since I was working in Magic Kingdom at attractions, is called... Not Happily Ever After is now. Something is now.
The magic is now.
No, it's not the magic is now.
You are the magic.
Once Upon a Time is now. That's what it's called. Once Upon a Time is now. And this is for everyone that does... I guess it's not just attractions. I think it's for everyone that does anything at Magic Kingdom has this as their first day.
I feel like it would have to be.
And I was driving. I had my car, obviously.
Lucky you.
And I drove someone else with me because I had met another person in the days leading up that I was kind of friends with that was also working attractions at Adventureland Liberty Square. And I should say at this point, I was going to my first day of training. I didn't even know what ride I was going to be working. No idea. I just knew attractions in Adventureland / Liberty Square. So I was still like, am I going to be at Pirates? Am I going to be Jungle Cruise, Haunted Mansion, Riverboat? Like, I had no idea what I was getting into. So it's 4:30 in the morning. By the time I shower and get out of there, I think we left at like 5:15 or something like that. And we had instructions of like where to go. We knew we had to go to like West Clock and then take the bus from West Clock to Magic Kingdom, and then from there find the Mouseketeria. But West Clock is like a pretty big area, and it didn't really describe very well like where the bus stop was. And of course, no one else is there that early, right? Yeah. If there were other people there, you could just follow them. But no one else was there that early. So we get there, and I'm like driving around. I'm like, where's this bus supposed to pick us up? There were other people as well that I knew that were also going to this at that day. And I tried to like communicate with them like, hey, like, where'd you guys like get the bus to go to the Utilidor? And it was hard to figure it out because no one else drove there. Everyone else took the Flamingo Crossings bus to West Clock, and that dropped them off right by where the bus picks you up to take you to the Utilidor.
I bet you got prime parking that day, though.
So they're all like, it's just right where the bus drops you off. I'm like, well, I drove. They're like, oh, I don't know, sorry. So eventually we managed to figure it out. And we also didn't want to like, get out and start walking around because it was freezing.
Yeah.
But eventually we figure it out. And we get on the West Clock bus, and we get dropped off, and we all meet in the Mouseketeria, and there's a whole bunch of people in the Mouseketeria that are all there for their first day of training. Their Once Upon a Time is Now. And we're all just kind of sitting there. We don't really know what to do. We were early because at Traditions, we were told you want to make sure that you leave wherever you're going from 2 hours early because it takes a while to get there and to park, and then the bus, and you have to wait for the bus, and sometimes the bus is running late. My entire time working there, the bus has never taken more than 2 minutes from West Clock, from the Utilidor to get to West Clock, and most of the time it's waiting there for you, and you just walk right on. It's like a 30-second drive. Like, I don't know how the bus could ever be more than a minute
traffic,
late.
it's crazy.
So we were there super, super early. The first thing that we did was all of us together. And again, I don't know how many people were there, but it was a large group of us. And this was prior to the park opening. We all did a tour of Magic Kingdom together.
In the freezing cold.
In the freezing cold. 30 degrees tops. It was below freezing. And of course, no one brought a winter coat with them to Florida.
It's so funny because every position at Disney, their costume has a jacket assigned to it. Mm-hmm. They could have just taken you all to get your jackets first.
No. Well, they didn't want us in costume because we weren't
You just look like tourists, like on a VIP tour.
Kind of, yeah. Because, like, again, they said business casual, right?
Yeah.
But I was kind of torn because I'm like, it's 30 degrees. Like, business casual, I don't have a jacket.
I gotta wear a sweatshirt.
So that's what I did. I wore a sweatshirt under my shirt, like a light sweatshirt without a hood.
Okay.
Under my button-down shirt.
Okay. You
and
just
then,
looked buff.
But I brought another sweatshirt as well. And I'm like, once I walked outside, I'm like, it's too cold. And I gave in and I put the other sweatshirt on as well. So I was no longer business casual. But I was at least not totally freezing.
I feel like that is more important.
Yeah. I don't, they didn't care.
Yeah, no one cared.
But it was very, very cool. We spent like a considerable amount of time taking this tour of Magic Kingdom. We were all freezing. But it was cool because the park wasn't open yet.
Yeah.
Right? There's no guests in there, and we're just walking around, like walking by the castle, and we're getting like a history lesson too, like about how the park opened and, stuff like that. And then after that, we split off into our groups. And the first thing they did once we got into our groups, they were like, all right, you guys know what attractions you're going to be working? And we're all like, no. He's like, all right, cool. And he had like a paper with like the rest of our training schedule for the rest of that week on it. And obviously it said like what our attraction was, what our role was. So he's reading it off. He like announces the first person's name and they're like, yep, that's me. And he goes, Jungle Cruise. He hands it to them. Next person, they're like, yeah, that's me. He goes, Jungle Cruise. Third person, like, yeah. He goes, Jungle Cruise. And he goes, Thomas. And I'm like, yeah. He goes, you want to guess? I'm like, Jungle Cruise? And he goes, Pirates.
No.
Which was a little disappointing at first, because Jungle Cruise was what I wanted when I found out I was going to be in Adventureland, because I wanted to be involved in the attraction like that. I thought that would be so much fun. But I ended up being happy with Pirates. I think it's a little less stress than Jungle Cruise. You don't have less pressure on you to not mess up, I think. And I liked Pirates a lot, so it all worked out. So from there, we went to costuming. And we picked up our costumes. Like you, I didn't bring a bag or anything, and I had all these hangers and stuff, but costuming at Magic Kingdom is at West Clock.
Facts. I didn't know that.
So after I picked up my costumes, I just walked to my car and threw it in my car, and I was good to go. And I think I also let other people threw their stuff in my car too. And then after that, we went back to the Utilidor, and we went to a computer room, kind of like you're talking. We did a little bit of stuff on the computer, but it was mostly like setting up our hub account, which is like your
we did that too,
account where you see like your scheduling and everything online. And there were like 2 or 3 videos we had to watch, but it wasn't much.
I feel like all of your like safety training would happen on the job.
Well, yes. So in our future days of training, it was a mix of like actually practicing the positions and then like reading stuff about it, because it was, the safety stuff is like applicable to specific situations. It's not just like, don't leave food out or it'll rot. It's like, when you're in this position, these are the things you need to pay attention to. When you're in this position, these are the things you need to pay attention to, right? Yeah. When you're in, I don't know, when you're at unload, you want to make sure you give the spiel about watching your step before they get off. When you're at load, you want to make sure everyone's seated before you press the button to dispatch them, and so on. So there was a lot of reading and a lot of safety stuff, but it was sparse throughout
that would have been nice.
The days of training, and it was applicable to things we either just did or were about to do.
Yeah.
And I don't know how true this is or not, but apparently the room where we did this little amount of training and we set up our hub accounts was a room that they used to record a lot of the audio tracks that play for different rides and stuff at the park. And I believe there was like soundproofing and stuff like in that room, so I guess it would add up.
You mean, when you say that, like, audio tracks, you mean, like, the safety spiels and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, not like
music.
The wildest ride in the world.
Well, maybe. Could be. Just, like spoken, like, dialogue. Not like music, but, like, any of the dialogue that you would hear, I guess. After that, that's where things start to get really cool. And this is where I think our first day of training becomes very drastically different from your first day of training.
Yeah.
So after we mess around in the computers for a little bit, we all walk through the Utilidor to the Adventureland side, and we walk up the staircase to get up to Adventureland, and our first stop is Pirates. So we go and we check out like the break room, and people are in there. They're like, "Oh, hi," and we're like, "Hey, I'm new. What's up?" They're like, "Yep, this Pirates people. This is your break room." And stuff like that. And then one of the people we're with turns to us and says, "So you guys want to hijack a boat?" And we're like, "What?" And she's like, "Yeah, let's go hijack a boat." And I thought, okay, she's joking or whatever.
This is a bluff, right?
No, not a joke. We didn't even go through the lightning lane. We went in like through the backstage door, walked like the opposite way that the wheelchairs go out. So like where we take the wheelchairs out, we just walked in that way, walked right up to load. And she was like, "There's like 10 of us. Let's get a boat." And she was like, "Okay." And we just got a boat.
Bro.
And we rode the ride. And we then proceeded to do that for like all of the other attractions.
So every other person training in Adventureland or Liberty Square was still with you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask that.
There were like, including the 2 trainers, there were like 11, 12 of us.
Oh, okay.
So we hijacked a boat at Pirates. Then we walked over to Jungle Cruise and did the same thing. We hijacked a Jungle Cruise boat. Then we did the same thing for the Tiki Room, as well as Haunted Mansion. We all went on Haunted Mansion as well. And then after Haunted Mansion, we were like on our way out, and the one trainer is like, "Hey, come here," to the other trainer. was like, should we show him something really cool? And she's like, what? And he like whispers in her ear, and she's like, no, I don't think that's a good idea. But he won. And I don't even remember exactly where we went, but we went to some backstage area, and we go into this room, and he tells us, you guys need to be really quiet. It's going to be really dark in there. But don't make any sounds, like no additional lighting. Be careful where you're stepping. And the room he ends up taking us in is underneath like the ballroom scene where the ghosts are dancing. And you may have heard that the way that they create that is using like light and mirrors that reflect off of actual animatronics. Well, we saw the actual animatronics underneath that create underneath the ride that create those reflections, that ghost effect.
That makes me so jealous. You have no idea. That's my favorite scene in Haunted Mansion.
So my first day of training up until this point was going like incredibly well, like crazier than I ever could have imagined.
Your first day of training compared to my 5 days of training.
I was like, this is incredible. Like, this is
Let's
so
do this
cool.
every day.
Right. This is so cool. We just rode a bunch of rides without waiting in line. We went to this, like, secret area of Haunted Mansion and got to see, like, how the ride works. This is great. And then it got even crazier from there. That's not even, like, the climax. I mean, I guess that's kind of the climax. But, like, there's more. So that was supposed to be, like, the end of our day, right? We kind of did everything we were supposed to do. But we still had some time left before our shift was over, so we went over to Hall of Presidents, and we weren't about to sit through the whole like Hall of Presidents show, but we like looked at some of the cases, and we got some like additional information from the people that were the cast members that were like giving our tour, I guess, the ones that were training us. And then we noticed that the parade was coming by, so we walked outside to watch the parade, and we all had on our like name tags with the Earning My Ears ribbon on them. They give you a little like sticker thing to put under. So if you're ever at Disney and you see someone with Earning My Ears, it means they're still in training. So even though we were all in like normal street clothes, we had our name tags on with Earning My Ears. So the parade comes by, and I don't know which parade it was. I'm not a parade guy very much, but the princesses were on it. And the princesses are like the only characters that are like really allowed to talk, right? Any of the characters that are like in the suits with like the stuff over the head, they can't talk, but the princesses can. So the parades come by, and I guess they noticed our name tags with the Earning My Ears, because all of the princesses started like talking to us, and they were all like, oh my god, welcome, congratulations, like all sorts, like they were like so enthusiastically like welcoming to, like you would think they'd be like, oh, we gotta like look at the kids, like we gotta talk to the kids. No, they were all focused on us, and they were like, welcome. It was surreal. And like, I'm not a parade guy. I'm not like a character guy, right? But I'm not doing any of the character meet and greets.
You out like that.
But that was really cool. And like, almost like, I already had my mind blown up until that point. And now this is like, it took all of the like pieces of my mind that had been blown and like scattered them off in different directions. So that was my first day of training. I think I win if this was a competition. You win. And then from there, the rest of the training was like specifically at Pirates, the rest of the days. So it was just, learning the positions, doing the positions, reading the safety stuff. You would do it with, like, your trainer would demonstrate it first and then be like, all right, your turn. And you would take it and they'd watch and be like, all right, good. Or they tell you you're bad, whatever. They wouldn't tell you you're bad, but
they'd be like, let me show you again.
The rest of the days of training were more like actually training for the job. But that first day, that Once Upon a Time Is Now, was just mind-blowing. I would do...
That's how they get you.
I would work at Disney again just for the experience of doing that again.
That makes me want to work in Magic Kingdom so bad.
It was really, really cool. And it was a lot of fun. Even though we were freezing the entire time.
Yeah.
Even later in the day.
It didn't warm up those first couple weeks.
It was still cold. But it was worth it because we were hijacking boats and going underneath Haunted Mansion and getting greeted by princesses, so... and yeah, that's about all we have for you guys today. I hope you found this interesting. If any of you have worked at Disney as well, and you want to share what your first day experience was like, if you had a different role than us or a different location from us, I would definitely be interested in hearing that. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, leave a comment as well. I love reading all the comments. Consider subscribing if you want to see more Disney content, and we will see you guys in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.